Alex Orji was handing off to Donovan Edwards in the video. So take what you may with that.
I guess we can start right there with J.J. McCarthy. He moves on to the NFL. There's a lot of debate as to whether he should be a top pick or if he's just somewhere in that 15 to 20 range. When we look at the guys vying for the job, there could be also a debate as to whether Alex Orji is going to be that guy or whether they need to go to the transfer portal or what needs to be done. So what are your thoughts as the guys have just started spring practice?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the transfer portal, we'll just get that out of the way. There doesn't seem to be a huge interest from Michigan. If some big name were to pop up and something was to happen for whatever reason here, maybe they go and look at that guy. But right now, you mentioned Orji, but the way they're approaching it is they're starting with the vets. The oldest guys are going to be getting first team reps mostly, and then you'll work your way down to how many, who gets what. So that means a guy named Jack Tuttle, who we talked last time. It might have been the last time I was on here. Definitely one of the last few times I've been on. I mentioned how Tuttle was applying for his 7th season, and I didn't think he was going to get it. Frankly, the NCAA, though, not a lot of what they do makes sense, and Tuttle got his 7th year, so he's back. There is a shot that he starts. I kind of lean against that, and in a video that Michigan posted, it was either yesterday or the day before on their social media, Alex Orji was handing off to Donovan Edwards in the video. So take what you may with that. Donovan Edwards is the clear-cut number 1 back. That might be just, one snippet that, he was just getting some of his first-team reps in, or maybe Orji is taking more of those first-team reps, even as a guy who isn't, as old as Davis Warren or Jack Tuttle are. So you work through the list, right? Tuttle, oldest guy, 7th year. Davis Warren, I think probably in his 5th year. He's 4th, maybe. He's, redshirted somewhere in there. And then there's Jaden Denegal, Alex Orji, same class. And then Jaden Davis, true freshman coming in, highly touted true freshman quarterback. So they're all going to compete. A lot of the talk seems to lean Orji or Denegal right now.
We've seen a lot more of Alex Orji than Denegal. How would you size them up? Is this going to be a situation where, depending on who they select, they're going to have to change up the offense and alter it based on that selection, or how similar are they?
Completely different players. Absolutely different. So Orji, as we know, we've seen as a runner for Michigan, completely very unique in that style, very good runner. I think that is, a part of the offense that Michigan will continue to use this year, whether or not Orji is the starter. And we could see, just like what happened with Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy, reps are split for the first few games going into the year. Who knows? But what Denegal brings is he's a better passer. He's more he's still a big guy. He's 6'4". He's a tall guy, but he's more of a pocket passer. And he's more developed as a passer than Orji is, at least is what it seems like. And not as good of a runner. He's mobile enough. But Orji is a dynamic athlete, and that is undeniable. He's got great arm strength. Denegal has pretty good arm strength as well. It's the accuracy issues and reining in that arm strength a little bit for Orji that we're going to have to see how he develops in that component, because he's such an electric player as a runner, scrambler, and he's just a big dude. I mean, he's a big, strong quarterback who kind of is like physically like a running back. So having him back there, if he's able to develop his passing skills enough, that would be a very unique threat. And I do think the offense looks completely different with him at the helm versus with just about any other quarterback on this roster.
And as we've talked about, Nelson, despite Jim Harbaugh leaving the program, the way the direction has gone moving forward with Sharon Moore, they've kept about as much continuity as possible, which is a great thing. Kirk Campbell, of course, is very familiar with these quarterbacks. He's worked with them. So now he's going to be calling plays and running the show as an offensive coordinator. So that's a big plus. Has Sharon Moore stated at any point, this is what he would like the identity to be on offense? Or is it just going to be, hey, we've got a roster, we've got an offensive coordinator, we're going to play to our strengths and run whatever offense has been determined? Or does he really want to drive a vision for the offense going forward?
I don't think he wants to really drive a vision. And I think that's part of the way Michigan evolved over the last few years to being what they were. Their vision became the running game, but that was also what they were best at. And so that's, you do, offensively what you're best at. And I think a great coach, some coaches have great schemes and they recruit guys for their schemes. That doesn't seem like what Michigan's doing. Michigan seems like the type of team, like you hinted at, that's going to come in and want to shape their offense or shape what they do around the talent that they have. And so I don't think there's a specific vision, and maybe part of that. And I think they do definitely want to rely on the ground game still and ball control style offense. I don't think there's going to be major changes when it comes to, switching to like a spread or something like that. But they're going to keep it more pro style, and that is, that's their style. But at the same time, if you have a guy like Alex Orji, and they've been very open about it, you want to, play to your players' skill sets or call the games to your players' skill sets. So once we have an idea of who the quarterback is going to be, I think we're going to hear more about what those changes might be.
So Nelson, for you, in maxing out the abilities of Denegal and Orji, is Orji the better ceiling option just because of the running component, or is Denegal potentially that deadly of a passer that he could be just that good?
Well, ceiling is it's a hard way to frame it, because when you look at the ceilings talent-wise of both those players, and by the way, we're not talking as much about Jaden Davis and Davis Warren and Jack Tuttle, who I think is probably just going to be the backup to whoever ends up winning that job. And I don't think Warren will win it, but Davis and Davis Warren and Jaden Davis. We're going to say this a lot. I have to say the full names to get keep you guys from getting confused. But when you're looking at those two guys, they have a shot as well. But between Orji and Denegal, who I lean towards, and I think we're generally leaning towards at Rivals, is Orji has the bigger ceiling. His ceiling is higher. He's a more talented player, physically more gifted. And so there's that. But what's the mental component, right? And so is his ceiling, developing, whether it's how he makes reads and how he, changes plays in the offense? Because JJ McCarthy had a lot of freedom towards the end of, his tenure at Michigan to do that. And I think Orji, we're going to have to see if he has that component. I think he's a really focused guy who works really hard, and I think he really wants this job. And so that helps. But Denegal, on the other side of things, is just a more polished passer. And so his ceiling as a passer is also, very great. It's a very high ceiling, but the running component we've talked about, not there as much for Denegal. So I think it's just going to be who's going to be able to max out, by the end of spring. By the time we get into fall camp, the spring game's in about a month or so here, and we're going to have an idea then exactly what, who's going to start and who's playing the best, because we're going to probably see every quarterback out there playing, heavy snaps. And there's 5 guys that you gotta try out. So they know what they have in Tuttle. I think Warren as well. The other 3, Jaden Davis, Alex Orji, Jaden Denegal, who knows? But I do lean Orji. I just think that what he brings is so dynamic. And at the college game, and with Michigan's offense, you don't have to be a dominant passing attack. We've seen it now. It's been proved. If they can have a really unique rushing attack, running game that, it's not going to be triple option or anything like that. But what Orji brings to the table, not the same speed or elusiveness necessarily, not the same style as a guy like Lamar Jackson, but that capability of being able to be a dominant runner. And that would be just, absolutely unique. I'm not going to try and overhype him too much because, like I said, there's a long way to go for him to develop into that kind of guy.